Trust is the determining factor for the longevity and for the stability of any healthy relationship. And when it comes to our relationship with God, we must learn to trust God, and God also has to trust us. And we must learn to trust God, to rest satisfied knowing that God knows best. And God wants to rest satisfied knowing that He can trust us. God needs to know you, beloved. So it's not sufficient for you to know God. And we discussed already that in order to know God, we have to know God in the various vicissitudes of life, the various circumstances, situations, and scenarios that life throws at us. And this is how we get to know God, that we know that God is stable, He is consistent, and He is dependable. But when it comes to God knowing us, He wants to know the very same thing, that we are stable in Him, in our faith in Him, that we are consistent in our devotion to Him, and that we are dependable and can be trusted to be faithful to Him under any and all circumstances. So the question is, do we know God, and does God know us? So we have to know God on our end in our pursuit of a living relationship with Him, and God has to know us from His end. And so in our experience and in our perspective, we have to put God to the test in order to know Him, in order to see how He responds to us in our varying situations. And likewise, God puts us to the test to see how we respond to Him in the situations that He allows to come upon us, whether or not we will be stable, consistent, and dependable. So God needs to know you, beloved. Does God know you? So God needs to know you. In order to know you, He has to test you. And when He tests you, it's not because He hates you, but it is because He wants to entrust you with greater gifts and greater responsibilities. But God is in the habit, and by principle, He does not put more upon you than you can bear. This is why God is fair. And so He tests us so that He can be able to see how we respond to certain given situations, that He may be able to entrust us with greater blessings, with greater responsibilities, because He does not remove the weight and the burden of these responsibilities from us. He may grant us grace to bear them, beloved, but we have a responsibility to carry the cross that is attached to our duty, that is attached to our commitment to God. So we in order for us to be entrusted with greater gifts and responsibilities, we have to prove ourselves worthy of those gifts. Hence, in order for God to know us, He has to test us. When God says that He knows you, it means that He has revealed Himself to you, He has tested you, and you have passed the test by being consistent, by being dependable, and by being stable in your relationship with Him. And so not only are we to test God to see how good He is and to get to know Him for ourselves, but we must understand that God is testing us because He wants to trust us. And trust is something that we have to earn. So we endure the test so that we will be able to earn God's trust. When we earn that trust, we are now entrusted with gifts, with responsibilities, with duties, with blessings, beloved. And this is why God in Genesis chapter 6 verse 18 could have said to Noah from verse 18, "But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee," from verse 7, Chapter 7 verse 1, and the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. So God saw that Noah was righteous. Noah endured the test. Noah was not like the people around him. God recognized that Noah was different. Noah endured the test of righteousness, of justice, of judgment, and God trusted him with the opportunity and the responsibility to build the ark. So if Noah had failed the little test in his life that God had put him through to test his faithfulness, to test his value system before God, Noah would not have been ultimately entrusted with the responsibility to build the ark to save mankind, to save animal kind. And so, beloved, God tests us so that he may entrust us with greater duties and with greater responsibilities. And so the question is again, beloved, does God know you? So God's faithfulness is on trial, and your faithfulness, your commitment is on trial. God's faithfulness is on trial, and your commitment to God is on trial. This is why we are tested, that God may know us, because when he knows us, he entrusts us. What a privilege it is to be known by God. This is the Word of Life with Andre Knight.